for all the discussion about Gaza, Gaza elected Hamas. Can we be honest about what this is? Hamas chose to do this. Do you realize they don't even have a proper sewer system functioning in Gaza? They were given all of the resources, all of the materials, the funding, everything possible to fix infrastructure that was left behind for them when Israel unilaterally pulled out in 2005. And instead of investing all of the money that was sent to them for that purpose, guess what they did? They bought more damn rockets, and they built more tunnels, and they contributed to they established the Martyrs Fund. That's the big giant pot of money that pays out the suicide bombers' families. That's what they spent the money on. That's the kind of stuff that Hamas does because they're terrorists. They don't care about the people that live within their borders. They don't care. This is about control. They don't care about Israelis. They don't care about quote unquote Palestinians. They don't care about any of it. I mean, there is no way these are true, and you need to be aware of it. There was one kibbutz that had been stormed, and 40 babies were beheaded. Babies. That's true. This is Nazi stuff. Well, they're Nazis. Hamas are Nazis. I mean, their charter literally repeats, Hitler word for word. They're Nazis. They had 70 terrorists that stormed this. It's a smaller town in Israel, and they killed everyone that they saw. One of the videos showed, like I said, the dog getting shot because they killed everybody else. They killed everybody else, so then they shot the dog, and then they burned the houses down. Now, tell me, for an elected entity that says that they are trying to free, quote unquote, free Palestine, what is the purpose of setting your people up for such a response? This is the unfortunate aspect of war. I wrote about this last night, and I hope that you read the piece that went out yesterday. Because it was titled, What Israel Now Must Do. And I went into the story of the family. I told you about this yesterday that hid their 10-month-old twins. There was another family, a family of 5. They rushed into their bunker during the Hamas airstrikes. And then their bunker was breached by Hamas. They dragged all of them out, including their toddlers, and killed all of them. Killed all of them. In one town, another kibbutz, the Hamas murdered 10%, which is literally like the Roman rule of decimation, which is 1 out of every 10 captives. 10% of the town was murdered. And as all of this was going, Hamas began threatening to execute hostages, including Americans, on live television, starting with Israeli soldiers. They were going to broadcast this. Do you know what the other thing that Hamas was doing that I read about? The brutality of their actions. They were taking the cell phones of their captives, and then they were recording them being murdered and tortured, and then uploading it to their social media accounts, whether it was Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Twitter. However, there was a woman who, she got a call from her mom yesterday. She gave an interview, and I think it was BBC. She gave an interview, and she said her mother called and was hysterical. And she said, oh my gosh, look at Facebook. Oh my gosh. And the girl looked at Facebook, and it was her grandmother being murdered by Hamas. They uploaded the video, and it was up there for like a good 20 minutes to half hour before Facebook took it down. I mean, anybody who makes excuses for Hamas or who tries to justify their terrorism with this both sides stuff, you are incompatible with this world. That's the truth of it. Hamas and Hezbollah, they're friends to the north. They're terrorist organizations. They're a bunch of fat bastards who use innocent civilians as shields. They don't care about, quote unquote, Palestinians. They don't care about Israelis. They care only about control. That's why none of the aid ever goes to those people. They store rockets in apartment buildings. They store munitions in places of worship. And students sit in classrooms right above stockpiles of bombs. And Hamas engages in this performative grief theater when the people they tell not to evacuate are hurt by any retaliatory strikes. And yes, that's true. While the IDF were sending text and voice messages to residents of Gaza, warning them that they should leave because that area that is going to come under strike, the Gaza authorities, they were telling everyone, oh no, the IDF is just trying to incite fear. Stay where you are. Israel warns them to flee, and Gaza overlords literally tell them to stay put. So it is absolutely time to end Hamas. And the only reason, as I said yesterday that Israel has not done it before is because they've shown an overabundance of mercy. The strikes that they carried out yesterday, last night, ongoing today, these are Hamas sites that the entire world has known about for forever. It's not like they're secret. And Israel always refrained because the world always portrays Israel as the aggressors. Always. Israel is the aggressor whenever they respond to what Hamas does. And that's the narrative. You're seeing it now. I don't have to explain it to you. You see it in these headlines now. I gave some for you as an example last night. And you have Hamas that says that Israeli is targeting their citizens. Israeli doesn't target citizens. That's Hamas. It's Hamas. Now, I'm going to be really clear again, and I said this yesterday on air. Palestine is a made-up country. It is a made-up country. It is a made-up ethnicity that is not supported by 2,000 years of history. It's not supported by the Quran. It's not supported by the Bible. It is as much a made-up term as assault rifle is. And I said yesterday, and again, this is why you need to sign up for Substack, it was literally a name that was spitefully given by Hadrian, Roman emperor, to the Jewish people after they quelled a Judean uprising, and they named them after the Philistines, who, by the way, were seafaring people and were Greek. They weren't Arab, and they were already gone from the area. They did that spitefully. They named the area after Israel's enemy, so that Hadrian could push this disassociation of Jewish people from this land. That is the whole reason that name came into existence. There is no occupation. That is a myth. The fact that Palestine is a country is a myth. The fact that there is Palestinians is a myth. There are people of Arab descent, probably mostly from Egypt. Yasser Arafat was born in Egypt. He headed the PLO. He was Egyptian. And by the way, Egypt closed their border with Gaza. They have really good relationship with Israel after the return of Sinai. They have very good relationship with Israel. They're none too pleased with the way that Hamas has been acting. And you know what? Again, Israel unilaterally withdrew in 2005. They've been sending so much aid. They send aid regularly, clothing, food, medicine, every single year. They wouldn't have to if the elected body actually was a servant of the people there. And since the 30s, every single proposal for the quote-unquote two-state solution has been rejected by Palestine's leaders. Every ceasefire ever brokered, without exception, is always violated by Hamas. There is a difference between being peaceful and being harmless, because a country that refuses to defend its people isn't peaceful, it's harmless. Choosing to live peacefully when you are capable of immense violence, that is what being peaceful is. I know war is awful. And as I said in my piece, that is why, God forbid, responses to terror like this should be so brutal and so violent and so unparalleled by modern comparison that it sows within the hearts and souls of all enemies a fear that is so deep that the reverberation carries with it a warning several generations into the future. Because such a response is necessary to avoid any kind of piecemeal forever wars. And it's necessary to keep this from spreading as well. And it's necessary to demonstrate that those who refuse to live in peace shall neither live on this earth. So I hope that they all get sent to hell along with all of the demon fighters that have been carrying this out, Hamas and Hezbollah. Israel's going to win this, and we need to just stand back and let them do it, because a lot of people in this country and a lot of people in our government and a lot of people around the world don't have the spine to do what it takes to protect the innocent. They've refrained long enough. And they have every right to respond however they see fit, and they don't have to ask permission, they don't have to make apology or anything else. This is what Hamas has chosen.